African American Literature, A Personal Experience by Danielle Williams, English 244, Section 2. I would like to start off with talking about The Harlem Dancer by Claude McKay. This was one of my favorite texts from the semester, and the reason why was because it was very easy to relate to as a woman. It's a sonnet and it's only 14 lines, but it was really soulful and very impactful, and it was, like I said, really easy to relate to, which is kind of surprising since it was written in 1917. But like I said, a lot of the context applies to what women have to go through today and how women are often hypersexualized and diminished, and their worth is seen as basically nothing. A lot of women are looked at as objects and just sexual beings. And so I think that, of course, women are way more than that and have so much more to offer. But the Harlem Dancer by Claude McKay, he really was able to touch bases in so many few words, and really express how a lot of women are often looked at and often feel. And so it really allowed me to enjoy this text and be able to feel it and relate to it. The second text that I enjoyed was The Forethought of the Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois. In the beginning of reading this text, it immediately caught my attention because within like the third line, W.E.B. Du Bois says, "The problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line." And so I was like, immediately, what's the color line? What is he talking about? Is it figurative? Is it literal? Like, what does he mean by this? And so it really just grasped my attention and made me read more and more on. And throughout the whole book, W.E.B. Du Bois really explained what African Americans have to go through on a day-to-day basis, and how we are mentally imprisoned and not genuinely liberated and don't really know what we're capable of. And that's what's allowing us to be systematically oppressed and allowing us to continue to be separated from each other and from other countries and looked down upon, because we don't genuinely understand what it is to be enlightened and liberated and educated and pursue that to demand equality and equal rights. W.E.B. Du Bois was one of my favorite authors throughout the whole semester, and I'm excited to continue to learn and read more about him. What would I die for? Honestly, sitting back and reflecting on what I would actually die for was kind of difficult for me, because even though I am passionate about fighting the struggle, I do love and enjoy life. But thinking about it, if there was anything that I would put my life on the line for, and involving fighting for freedoms, it really relates to The Criteria of Negro Art by W.E.B. Du Bois. Du Bois in this text really goes into depth of demanding instead of requesting to be a full-fledged and equal American and being treated as the same as any other race is, and especially when it comes to equal opportunities. Of course, African Americans are not treated the same. They weren't treated the same in the 20th century, and they're not treated the same now. And Du Bois goes in depth of how to protest against the oppression from white people and from any other race. And he says that the protest that we should partake in is Black art. And I never really thought about it until I read his text and was open-minded. And Black people are art. Whether it's our features, our hair, our culture, our mindsets, everything about us is artistic. And he basically says that we need to be brutally honest and unapologetically Black through every art form that we put out there, whether it's poems, sonnets, or artwork, or education, or speeches, or being an author. Whatever you do, you need to say that I am Black and I am proud and I'm going to continue to be that way, and express the struggles that we as Black people face from day to day, and demand that it's a change, that it changes, because we're not going to. So I would definitely fight to educate and empower Black people to just be honest about the struggle. Rather, it's not as difficult as this person sitting next to you, just to be out there and be honest. And so that's something that I could see myself dying for. My first impression of African American literature, as any other college student, I was just trying to get in, get my A, and get out. And if I was going to take a literature class, I might as well take one about African Americans, because of course I didn't want to really learn about anything else. So before, I just thought that we were going to read books or whatever, or just learn. I really kind of thought it was a history lesson in some way, which clearly I was super ignorant before. But after and through the course, my whole mindset changed about it, because I'm not much of a reader. But in the beginning of the course, Dr. Benson said that, we get to do these things because education is a privilege. It's not a right. We don't have to receive education. We don't have to read. It's something that we get to do. So taking that and actually implementing it throughout the school year, my respect for African American artists and educators has completely changed. To my peers and my people, if anyone ever has a chance to take African American literature, preferably taught by Dr. Benson, I would say 100% go for it. But for those who have to do that on their own, African American literature is an experience. And I think that the K through 12 and even in college now, education system suppresses other cultures from learning about themselves because they want to keep us oppressed, and that allows us to be systematically oppressed. But learning about African American literature is an experience in itself, and you are enlightened and open-minded and taught so many things that you haven't even fathomed. Because like I said, the education system has completely deprived us. We learn about white history. We don't get to learn about Black history and where we come from. And reading is so fundamental, and I'm starting to learn that and grow more of appreciation because of this class. And so to all Black people of America and everywhere else, African American literature is an essential part of our lives. And I think that once we start to partake in that and indulge in reading and learning about our history, we'll be able to change and have a better future. So all in all, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Benson. I genuinely enjoyed this class, and I am so glad that I was able to participate and I took it. And now I definitely take my education way more seriously, and I will continue to further indulge in